Hi everyone, welcome back to Making Things with String. My name is Kate, and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about my crafty endeavors. Yeah, thanks for joining me. If this is your first time, thanks for checking me out. And if you've been here before, welcome back. So yeah, this is just a regular Flosstube crafty update video where I'm going to show you all the stuff I've been working on since my last video. I want to start out the video with a Flosstube shout out. So I would like to give a little shout out to Ashley of A Little Patience XS, or A Little Patience Cross Stitch on YouTube. I will put a link to her channel in the video description below. She's another sort of smaller floss tuber who is relatively new like me, and I just think that she's very sweet. Every time she posts a video, I enjoy it. And yeah, she's pretty productive too. So I would recommend Ashley to you. Go have a look at her channel. The last video that I saw from her was a Flosstube update in which she proposed a January project where I believe she's planning to start something new every day in January with the hashtag January. So oh, there's fish. Come here. So hopefully there will be an update from her soon about how her January went. I decided not to partake in that, but I'm interested to see how it goes and how it went for her. So what I've done today for most of my projects, I have taken some little clips so that I'm talking over a nice close-up view of the piece while you're seeing it. So I'm going to be like kind of inserting some clips of all the different things. We're going to start off with 2 cross-stitch finishes. So here those are. So I have just finished stitching this piece, and I thought I would let you have a look at it. This is what I call my beach triptych. It is 3 little charts that I took from this summer beach collection, which is from the World of Cross Stitching magazine from sometime last summer. And yeah, I chose 3 of the little designs from that book to chart next to one another. So yeah, just finished back stitching this last panel today. I love it. It is so cute. Look at this teeny tiny little house up at the top of the hill. Look at this teeny tiny ladder. Look at boat. The back stitching on these pieces really pulls it together. I just love it so much. And then there's also these very cute little wooden charms that are meant to go. I'm not sure where this one goes, over here maybe, something like that. So I think I will be putting those on. And then framing this piece, and we're gonna put that, I think, in the newly renovated bathroom that is almost done down in our downstairs, that yeah, my husband has been working on. So really proud of this. It's sort of a small piece, but this one that I left until last actually it's full coverage, and it took longer than I anticipated. I actually, in the chart, the sky is stitched as well, the same sort of blue as the water, but I decided not to stitch that. For a couple of reasons. A, would have taken forever, well, a little bit longer, and B, I just think it matches this other chart a little bit better, so that they both kind of don't have, their skies look the same and the waters look the same, so they're sort of meant to parallel one another. Anyways, really happy with this. So cute. I lost my heart to the sea, my beach triptych. So this little cutie is called Tall Treat. It was a Jingle Ball exclusive pattern by the Blue Flower. and this was one of my WIPGO pulls for January. My goal for the WIPGO pull was just to get 50% complete, but as you can see, I have finished the stitching. It was just a lot of fun, and I was getting a lot of joy from stitching it, so I decided to finish it. And you know, there was one other WIPGO pull, which I will talk to you a little bit about after this. But yeah, it wasn't halfway through the month, and I just wanted to keep stitching on this, so I figured I would go ahead and do that. And so completing this piece allowed me to fill in 2 blocks on my WIPGO board, one of which hasn't been called yet. So I stitched this on some Zweigart 32 count linen, and I used the call for DMC, except I didn't have the greens that were called for, so I chose 2 of my own. I think maybe they're a little bit closer to one another than the called for pattern, but I still like how they turned out. And I made a few mistakes in this pattern. It's not quite as charted, but I was just enjoying it, and I did not frog anything. I just kind of left my mistakes in there, so if you can see them, you can see them. I don't really care. I still think it's very cute, and I really love this piece. I'm gonna finish it as an ornament, and so I think I will be doing that by trying a flat fold with some, you know, backing fabric of some kind. So I haven't ever tried that before, but we'll see. I think this would be a good piece to test it out with. And yeah, so those are my two finishes. Really excited about both of those pieces. I'm looking forward to fully finishing them as well. So next up is a bunch of works in progress. I made some progress on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces. So let's have a look at those. Here is my progress on the Modern Folk Embroidery Reaching Skyward 2023 stitch along. Really been enjoying this piece. I'm doing this on my Leo and Roxy 20 count porcelain Ada, and I've got 2 Roxy Flosco flosses as well. I'm using the Wiz, which is this deep teal green color, and I'm using brass tacks as well, which is that beautiful variegated brassy color. That is actually one of a kind, so I'm not sure how long that's going to be available for. But yeah, you can see I'm about halfway through. So this is the January portion. The January portion is the first 42 rows all the way across the top of the chart. And this right here is the midpoint of the chart. So I'm a little bit past halfway through January's chunk of the pattern. There's a couple little isolated little sort of snowflake motifs that I have to add in still over here. But yeah, this is coming along great. And the way that I have been approaching this is I have been trying to stitch about 150 stitches on it per day, because I calculated, Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery said that the monthly chunks are going to be about 4,000 stitches each, and so I calculated that that would mean I would have to do about 130 stitches per day to keep up with that. And so my rationale is if I do 150 stitches per day, then I'm ahead of the game, and that should keep me on track. And yeah, that worked out really well, because there was a day on Friday this week when I didn't get a chance to stitch on it. So getting a little bit ahead is good. I noticed as well that today is the 15th of January, and I am about 5.5% complete the whole pattern according to my pattern keeper. So that means that by the time January is done, if I keep on track, I'll be a little over 10% or maybe even 11% done, which puts me sort of ahead of the game, because if I've finished 1 out of 12 months and I've got over 10% complete, then, you know, that kind of confirms that I'm sort of on track with this. So I really enjoy stitching on this. I'm doing it 1/1, which is not my typical method of stitching. Normally I stitch with 2 strands of thread on slightly lower count fabric. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. There's sort of 2 different versions of the different components in the pattern. So I used the sort of default main page border, but I did switch out these little motifs to the alternate versions, just because I liked them a little bit better. I like those little birdies, and I just sort of like the intricate look of this tree better than the one that's on the front page of the chart. So yeah, really love this. It's going great. But yeah, you can see I've talked before about how my margins aren't going to be very big on the top and the bottom of this piece. So you can see over here, this is about how much margin I would typically want to leave on either side of a piece. And so I would like to have that much on the top and the bottom, but I'm not going to. Anyways, I think it's going to be fine. We'll figure it out. And it's going to be an amazing, lovely piece, regardless of how I end up being able to finish it due to that edge. All right, here is my progress on Needs No Paint, which is a Heaven and Earth Designs chart. The art is by Jill Clare, and yeah, here's my progress on that piece. This is one of my favorite pieces that I'm working on, but it's also gigantic and slow going compared to my other, some of my other pieces. But you can see, hopefully I've got a photo here of where I was last time. But yeah, you can see I've done a little bit more of this sort of feather mane piece up here, gotten into some exciting red bits, and I am stretching my way over here. So what I'm doing is there's a page break down around here somewhere. I'm going to be completing this whole page and then moving down to complete the next page below it. Just kind of keep going over 2 pages at a time on this piece until I get to the right side, and then I'll start coming back. So yeah, that's my Needs No Paint progress. This is all DMC, 2 strands of thread over 1 fabric thread, but I'm just doing tent stitch rather than full cross. Hopefully you can see that. And I can't remember quite the size of this fabric. It's some kind of even weave, 25 count, I think, or 28 count, probably 25. Not sure. Just something I got from Michael's. And yes, this is my beautiful baby, Needs No Paint, and excited to be making some progress again on this regularly. Here we have my Twilight Imperium 4 Nebula cross stitch. I've made quite a bit of progress on this, especially this weekend, because the Space Cats Peace Turtles Patreon tournament for Twilight Imperium has started. The qualifier rounds are starting. So I have been sitting and watching some Twilight Imperium games being played online and stitching on this piece. So I may have a photo of where I was with this the last time, and I can flash that up here. Basically, you can see last time I was kind of nearing completion on this sort of row of stitches, and now I'm moving my way back over here. I am using GoodNotes on my iPad to track my progress on this, so I don't have like stitch counts or percentages or anything. But it's a pretty fun little piece. Like, there's some kind of boring areas when we're stitching these sort of deep browns, but whenever pops of color come in, like when I get to use this purple, it's really fun. When I get to do these little red chevrons, it's fun. And you can see that there's some nebula wispies coming out here, so these like bright pinks and greens and lavenders are a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to work on this. Maybe during this tournament season I will finish this nebula and get to start another anomaly. That would be exciting. And you can also see a new stitch marker that I have here. This is a stitch marker from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. I got this in the mail from her when I received a pattern from her that I got in a giveaway. So that's my second stitch marker and I'm using it here on my nebula piece. So here is my progress on Ragnarok by Long Dog Samplers. This is another sort of long haul piece that's going to take quite a while to finish, but I made a little bit of progress here. And I've also sort of found a way to do some blending of the threads to avoid some worries that I had about weird blocky looking color shifts. So you can see right here, originally there was sort of just like a hard line the way there is here and here, but I just, when I came in and filled up, I did a little bit of blending with the thread, and I think it's looking pretty cool, looking pretty good. So yeah, that's my progress on Ragnarok for this video. I used Ragnarok as my stitching prompt for the Stitch for Pride 2023 event. This is an annual Pride stitching challenge / activity. So Stitch for Pride is being hosted by Dee's 20 Stitches. And I heard about it on Instagram and heard about their channel on Instagram, and I think it's really great. And so the idea is there's always going to be a monthly stitching prompt, but there's also learning and action prompts that go along with the stitching prompt, and you're supposed to complete those first before you get to do the stitching prompt. So I did that. There's sort of a video to watch this month called I Am Jazz, which was a great reading of a children's book by a trans author named Jazz. And there were some action items to get some merch, some merch from a trans creator. I haven't done that yet. My plan is to check out a local game shop that we have here in Sackville, Nova Scotia. That's a trans-owned business owned by Jay. Cape and Cowl Comics is the name of the shop, and so I know that Jay stocks a lot of Pride themed merch, and a lot of it is actually handcrafted stuff created by local crafters. So I'm gonna go see what Jay has in stock and pick something up there sometime this week. But the stitching prompt for this month is to stitch something with words or letters, and so Ragnarok counts as that, and especially since I am stitching on the letters here. So eventually, right now it just says is the, but it will say hope is the last thing ever lost. And yeah, that's it. That's Ragnarok. Still really loving this piece. Stitching this with DMC 115, one of the variegated DMC threads, just on some basic linen, tea-dyed linen. Yeah. So this is my start on the Nordic Nutcracker, which was my second WIPGO pull for January. I will flash up an image here of what that finished piece is supposed to look like. And yeah, I'm hoping to get 50% of that done. I'm already quite well on my way. I've only spent 2 days working on this so far. It's very cute as well. So I have changed up the colors a little bit, as you can probably see as well. It's just because I didn't have the called for DMC colors. So I made a few adjustments just to match what I had in my stash. And I'm really loving how this is turning out. It's a very fun stitch so far. I'm interested to get the rest of the face completed, because there's actually some French knots for his little eyes, and I've never tried French knots before, so I will have to learn how to do that in order to finish this little nutcracker's face. So hopefully you'll see that next time. But yeah, this is how far I have gotten on my Nordic nutcracker. He's very cute. I like him a lot. All right, so I have two knitting pieces to show you now, two knitting works in progress. I decided I would try just showing them here. I really have to like manipulate my knitting, so I didn't think it would lend itself well to that overhead shooting format. So first quick little update is on these gray and green socks that I have been knitting. I showed you this completed sock last time. But just to give you an idea of that colorway, matches well with Mr. Fish here. I have made a little bit of progress on that one sock, not a whole lot. I believe last time I was probably just about done the cuff. Just knitting up. And so I've knit most of the leg. I'm almost ready to start the heel flap on this second pair of those socks. So looking forward to that because I've got a couple of skeins of sock yarn in my stash that I am looking forward to getting started on. However, knitting socks has not really been my priority lately. I have my other knitting project that I tend to default to when I am knitting, and I've been doing a lot of cross stitching and diamond painting instead. So these have been taking a little bit longer than they would normally take me, but that's okay. There's no rush to get them done. I don't even really know who they're for. I just know that they're not going to be for me because they're too big for me. So the next thing I want to show you is my Leona dress. So this is a dress that I am knitting. The pattern is called Leona. It's a free download on Ravelry, but the pattern is in Norwegian. But I just used Google Translate to translate it, and that seems to have worked really well. So if you're interested, you can check that out. And I am knitting this out of my Hue Loco Vista Fade Advent Calendar. And here's where we are. So this little ribbing edge tends to roll up. Hopefully that will fix itself in blocking. But I have a skirt, I would say. Sorry about all my strands. It's still in progress. So here it is. So the color is sort of washing out a bit in this lighting. I'm wondering if I can get it to show a little more true. But you can see I'm starting to get into the deeper blues that this advent calendar fades into. And yeah, I have been decreasing sort of for the waist. So it's getting pretty big, and I'm loving it. So I'm going to see if I can actually flip it inside out for you, because as I have said several times, that's actually what the pattern calls for you to do. So it's knit in knit stitch and stockinette, but in the end you're intended to wear it like this. So I mean, it looks kind of similar from far away, but from close up I feel like you can see the variegation a little bit more on the wrong side like this. So let me know what you think. Hopefully, like I've said, the garment will actually be just reversible. And so I'll be able to wear it whichever way I want. But that's going to depend on how successful I am at tying in all these ends in an invisible way. So yeah, so this is coming along really well. I'd say I have knit through probably half of the yarn, at least. I can't remember exactly how many colors I've knit with. but there's 25 colors in total, so 24 mini skeins, and then a full skein of a tonal color. So that's my Leona dress. All right, here is my progress on my diamond painting. As you can see, I've done some chopping of the plastic because I've completed the sort of top portion of the canvas, and sort of moving my way down into stuff that I haven't completed yet. So I just thought I'd give you a little bit of a close-up view. This is sort of what the symbols look like before we put the diamonds on them. And here's some diamonds that have been filled in and added. There's actually quite an active diamond painting community here on YouTube, so I've been trying to check out some videos on YouTube about diamond painting and learn a little bit more about some best practices and like where to get diamond painting kits. So once I finish this owl, I will be starting another diamond painting, so you'll have that to look forward to. I don't know how long it's going to take to ship, but I ordered it from an Australian company. So yeah, here's what it looks like. I've also been keeping my eyes out here in Halifax, and I noticed that there are some diamond painting kits available at Michael's and some other local stores here, so it's good to know that that's available. But here's my little owl so far. I'm really enjoying it. Here is the Lego Luke Skywalker Red 5 helmet that Neil and I put together on Friday for our date night. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I have never put together a Lego kit this detailed before. I think I've done like smaller ones before, but yeah, never really spent the money on anything for myself on a kit like this. But yeah, we get a lot of Chapters gift cards, which we love. Chapters is a local Canadian bookshop, and so both of us do really love books. But we realized after Christmas that we currently have a lot of books already that we haven't read yet. We were looking for some fun date night ideas, and so I suggested that we check out the Lego kits available. This is actually one that's not available in stores. It's usually only available online. But when we went to one of the Chapters locations, somebody had actually returned this. So yeah, this is what we ended up with. And it was a lot of fun to put together with Neil. So we took turns. If you're familiar with Lego, there's sort of a little instruction booklet and packets of Lego pieces. And so we took turns. One of us was the builder and the other person was searching through and supplying whatever piece was required next. And so we took turns doing that. And it was a lot of fun, and it's a pretty cool little helmet. And we have it on display with a bunch of other sort of nerdy bits and bobs upstairs. All right, and that is all of the things that I have worked on, all of the crafty updates that I have for you. So that is going to be about it. I do have plans this coming weekend to participate in the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch weekend that's happening. So there's a Facebook group for this, 24 Hours of Cross Stitch, and they have events, I think 3 or 4 times a year. The idea is from Friday through to Sunday, you try to accumulate 24 hours worth of stitching. And that sounded like a lot of fun, so I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and chronicle what I get done during those 24 hours of cross stitch. Currently, I think a plan that I would like to try is to see if I can finish my Quaker Sister sampler by Modern Folk Embroidery over the course of that 24-hour weekend. So that would be pretty cool. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks for tuning into the video, and looking forward to chatting to you again soon. Please leave comments below. I love chatting with people down there. If you have any questions about anything or just to say hello. And we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.